G'day everyone, Wayne from Redcliffe Land and Bay Fishing. Today we're going to get straight into it and talk to you about the upcoming squid season. The jigs. There are a couple of different sizes that I like using. This is the expensive one. It's a Usuri shrimp hunter. See, this one is a burnt orange. Looks very much like a prawn. I rate this squid jig very much. This is a cheap one. You can buy these off eBay. They work at about $1 a throw. And the reason I use the two different squid jigs, this is the one I explore with. So if I'm working in a shallow area that I'm unfamiliar with, and I know there's a lot of structure reef around, a lot of weed around, and it's likely I'm going to get snagged, I'll go the cheaper one until I work out what the area is like. But with the expensive ones, I'll show you some of the modifications I do. Firstly, to the weight. You can see here the weight is as it comes out of the box. That one will sink probably between 3.5 and 5 seconds a meter. This one here, you can see, same brand, the weight there has been shaved, and you'll see a nice shining coating over it. All of the expensive ones I use a 2-pack on it. The weight's shaved so that the sink rate is a lot less. So it's in the squid's face, especially when they're on top of the water. I do a lot of night fishing and sight fishing for squid. So this will sink at probably around 10 seconds a meter. Not all of them you want to sink a lot slower. Some of them, when you're fishing in 5-6 meters of water or 30 meters of water or even more, you'll want it to sink at a fair clip. Moving from the jig to the leader, you can see here I use 14 pound most of the time in the areas that I'm fishing. What I want to do is when I snag up, especially on the more expensive ones, I like to be able to know that I'm going to bend the barb on the jig rather than break the knot or the line. This also covers me through the winter in the areas that I fish. I fish for larger flathead at the same time, also fish for the bigger brim, and also squire and snapper. I use a very thin braid. This is Wish. It's 18 pound braid, but it's 0.008 in diameter. It's a very, very thin braid, casts wonderful. You will get the occasional tangle in your line, an air knot. Carry some of this lip gloss around with you in your pocket or your tackle. You get an air knot, rub this on the knot, pull the line gently before you start mucking around with it, and 9 times out of 10 it'll come straight out. From the braid brings us to the reel and the rod. I use a squid rod. It's a Rovex Squid Wrangler, 8'6" rod. It's rated 1.5 to 4 kilo, so it handles my snapper and my brim and my flathead as well as the squid. And I use the reel's less important. You just want a good reel that has good smooth drag. The reels I like are quite cheap. They're a Daiwa Ad. This one here is a 2,000, 2,500 I think. You can use a 1,000, it doesn't matter. I do a lot of walking for squid, and because I walk a lot, I don't want to have carrying around lots of stuff. So I take a small esky with me. You can buy these quite cheap, less than 20 bucks at your BCF or basically any of the tackle stores. A little bit of tackle in the front. You put your ice block and your knife and your ruler, your rags inside here. I line it with one of the cheap $2 eskies that you can get from your Aldi's or your Woolies when you buy your meat. And the squid goes into that, so I've still got a clean area in here for the tackle. And I carry my tackle around over my shoulder in this. This is the only thing I take, so I can carry my water in this. And I can be walking for hours, and this is it. Squid jigs. I use mostly number 3s. I like the number 3s. I don't very rarely go down to a 2.5. You don't need to. Squid are very vicious fish, or cephalopods. They will attack anything. It can be the same size. And often you'll see a squid fighting with a mullet, which is bigger than it, on top of the water. So don't think for a second a big squid jig won't catch you anything. I prefer to use the number 3s. This one here, you'll see there's a series of jigs in here. They're 3.5s and 4s. I'll often go bigger, especially when the squid are a bit bigger. So most of the squid around here between 400 and 700 grams. When you're getting over that 700 grams, I'll up it to the larger squid jig and chase the kilo plus models. Another little trick is at night time. I do a lot of fishing at night, where I walk around at night or I'm in the boat at night. These here are a little glow stick. You break that, tie it to the tip of your rod with a rubber band, and because you're walking up and down rocks, in between trees, that there shows you where the tip of your rod is, and you'll stand a lot less chance of breaking it. So where do I fish for squid? As soon as I know that there's a bit of structural weed in the water and the water's more than a few 100 mil deep, I'll give it a shot. Nice slow sinking jig in shallow water, and you just spec cast until you find one. At night time, if you've got a good torch, you can sight fish. You can actually use your torch, move along the foreshores of a reefy area or a weedy area. Keep your eyes peeled. You will see squid lying on the bottom. With a good torch during the winter time, the water's very clear. So when they're lying on the bottom, you'll be able to see that dark torpedo shape. Quite often they're lying on the top of the water, and you'll see them very easily, and that you'll identify them as a squid. So you just sight fish that particular squid, and you'll find that it'll often have a mate or two with it. When you're spec casting, just keep spec casting areas that you know to be reefy or weedy, and keep moving. You have 3 or 4 casts in that area, you don't get a strike, you move on to the next area. You might only move 20, 30 metres up and give it another shot. When you do find a patch, make sure you keep going in that same area until you exhaust that patch. Quite often they'll be lying in patches of 15, 20 squid, and you might pull 6 or 7 out before they get too spooked and move on. I just felt a sting. There it is. I'm on. Just try and get this squid to run itself out and come to the surface, and we'll see if we can't get this one in. Here it comes. Nice little tiger of about 400 grams. I'll just grab my net here and see if I can get in the net before it drops. And there we have it. That brings us to the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you found it helpful, don't forget to like, comment underneath, share it, or subscribe.